What's good, y'all? Just Prince TV here. Now, Prodigy of Mobb Deep continues to not only be a very underrated rapper, but he's also very underappreciated, man. I had someone tell me that Prodigy shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence with Tupac. And I told him, to be quite honest with you, Prodigy was a better rapper than Tupac on many levels. And then you sit there and say, oh, Pac was diverse. You think Prodigy wasn't? Listen, I could compare this into 3 categories, right? We could even go at the beginning. Tupac got put on by Digital Underground, the whole Oakland rap scene, right? Now, if you know Oakland, they weren't heavy on bars, they weren't heavy on lyrics, all right? All they cared about was spitting that pimp shit and making songs that make money, okay? They didn't care if the song was hot, whack, okay. They didn't care about what you talked about. You could have talked about somebody's ass cheek. Long as it made money, that's all they cared about, right? So they weren't heavy on bars. They weren't traditional when it comes to hip hop. They didn't value lyricism. They didn't value wordplay. They didn't value none of that creativity. All they value was, bitch, make me my money. I'm a pimp. Okay, that's the Oakland shit. And if you want to compare that to Prodigy was way more battle tested than Tupac ever was. For starters, Prodigy had to go up against not one rapper, but a whole borough, a whole housing project, which happens to be the biggest housing project in America, the one I come from, Queensbridge. Now, Prodigy is not even from Queensbridge originally. He comes from Hempstead, Long Island, which is the suburbs. So in order for him to even fit in Queensbridge, he had to battle Tragedy Gaddafi, Cormega, Nature, Capone, Nas. He was battle tested. Every time they had a battle come up, a freestyle, you had to earn your stripes in Queensbridge, and Prodigy had to do that. In order for him to even be an official member of Mobb Deep, he had to battle everybody. He had to prove his worth. He had to prove that he had skills on the mic. So he wasn't bullshitting around with it. Then you look at Prodigy's upbringing. That trumps Tupac's upbringing in terms of hip hop. Then you look at the music in general. Tupac's first few albums were nowhere close to the potential of what Prodigy had to offer, even with Peer Pressure, Inner City Stories, Hit From the Back. These guys was young kids talking about shit like that, all right? Pimped out shit that probably Tupac would take his hat off to. As a matter of fact, Tupac was a fan of Mobb Deep when Mobb Deep wasn't a fan of him, all right? So Tupac would catch the attention of several other artists, some in New York, but they didn't caught the attention of Mobb Deep. But Tupac loved listening to Mobb Deep. He was fans of Mobb Deep, but they weren't fans of him, right? So even if you go by solo albums, group albums, look at Tupac's 3 best albums: Me Against the World, Machiavelli, and All Eyes on Me, right? Mobb Deep had several classics. I'm not even talking about Prodigy's solo catalog. Forget that for a minute. The Infamous. Infamous was better than Me Against the World, period. You know, you say, oh, well, Tupac had Dear Mama on Me Against the World, a classic song. Well, you think Shook Ones wasn't a classic? Shook Ones started a whole damn foundation, okay? Mobb Deep had a lane that they perfected. Tupac never perfected a lane, all right? Now, you can sit there and say Tupac had a lot of sad songs, a lot of emotional songs. I mean, if you want to say he perfected that, fine, but that's to say Mobb Deep couldn't do that. Mobb Deep had songs like that too. Mobb Deep was way more diverse. And plus, there was more hood and street with it. And they perfected that lane when Tupac couldn't do that. You know, then you go to another category, another album. What was it, Me Against the World? You pit Me Against the World against Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth wasn't a commercialized album, but from top to bottom, that album was fire. Okay, you could listen to every track on Hell on Earth. It had a feel like you was in a movie. And guess what? It was a better album than All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me had skippable songs. Some songs was good, some songs weren't. But there were no skippable songs on Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth it stayed with its flow, its content. it stayed hot from beginning to end. It kept the same mood, everything, man. It had great features from Ghostface and Raekwon. That album was fire, a certified classic. 2 classics back to back. Then you go with Murder Music, and you put that up against Machiavelli. Machiavelli had like 6 good songs, but 7 skippable songs, right? That couldn't fuck with Murder Music. Murder Music was Mobb Deep's introduction into the commercialized world. They had songs with Nas like It's Mine. They had, that song with Cool G Rap, discreet niggas doing hard time. This be the realest shit you heard in your life. Well, come on, man. That whole album even had Quiet Storm. Quiet Storm was a classic, an anthem. All right, another street classic, another anthem. So not only did Mobb Deep had 3 better albums than Tupac in a row, Prodigy also matured as a solo artist. By the time Murder Music came out, people was so much in a Mobb Deep craze. Everybody begged was, when we getting a Prodigy solo album? Just like Jadakiss, when we getting a Jadakiss solo album? The whole world wanted a Prodigy solo album. So he dropped one, H&IC, instant classic. So that's 4 classics in a row. All right. Now Tupac didn't get a chance to record another album after Machiavelli because he passed. But so to his credit, we would never know what he would have came out with next. But Prodigy dropped another street anthem with H&IC. Started a whole movement with the head nigga in charge, this be the P. And man, he came out with the, Keep It Thorough, all of that joints, classics, street album, classic street album. So he had 4 classics in a row. Then that's not even talking about Alchemist with Return of the Mac, product of the 80s. The other album he did with Alchemist, I think before he passed, not too long ago. One of his last projects with Alchemist. Prodigy was a force to be reckoned with. He could rap slow, fast. He had a very unique rapping style to a point. Even Jay-Z was like, from 95 to 1999, you can make a case Prodigy not only was a top 5 best rapper in the game, but he could have been viewed as the best rapper in the game. There even was a time period people were saying Prodigy was better than Nas. The whole Queensbridge was like, yo, P, you got it, son. You hot, you on fire. Nobody could do shit like you do. Prodigy was a better rapper than Tupac. He could do the laid-back lady songs too for the club. If you don't believe me, check out his campaign when he hit with G-Unit, okay? Blood Money. He proved to the world that they could make club bangers. And if they wanted to, he could have been commercialized way faster than Tupac. But he chose to stay into his lane and do what's true to his heart. He came out with that street shit, and he perfected it. Prodigy was better than Tupac. More diverse, better unique flow, more battle tested, everything you mentioned. More better with songs, because Tupac was kind of straightforward with the the sad songs, but Prodigy could do that and more. Prodigy was that dude. Now it's time for you to give that man his flowers and pay some respect. H&IC, QB, we out.